All right, we got a schedule, baby. Let's talk about it in the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube.
All righty. We got a schedule. The schedule is dropped. One of my favorite times of the year, the official start of the season. We got a little mini camp tomorrow as well. I'll be at practice on Saturday. Might get someone on the air tomorrow in the Loop Sports Radio 610. You can hear me 10 to 2 Monday through Friday on the Odyssey app and on Sports Radio 610. So we have a schedule. Let's react to it. Couple of takeaways from this schedule. And the most polarizing thing on the internet that I've seen is there are no primetime games for the Texans. So there's no Monday night football. There's no Thursday night football. There's no Sunday night football. And I've heard the word disrespect thrown out. John McClain has thrown it out a couple of times. I don't necessarily consider it disrespect. I just think the Texans haven't earned primetime attention, especially if there is no, I mean, in the past, there was a requirement that everyone had to have a primetime game. And as a result of that, we saw a lot of bad primetime games. And the good thing is the NFL, some of the teams that you expect to be good are bad. Some of the teams that everyone expects to be bad are good. So that's the good news. I don't consider it disrespect. The Texans are one of 4 teams, Atlanta, Arizona, and Indy, teams that were all drafted in the top 10. None of them have primetime games. The final game of the season is a TBD. So you do have that. Maybe it can get flexed, Texans, Colts, week 18. But I don't consider this to be disrespect. I think it's fine. And quite frankly, I don't know that it's that much of a disadvantage for the Texans, especially as young as they are. You're going to have Arizona week 11. Who knows if they're even trying to win? You're going to have Jacksonville, who you have a pretty good track record against. And then you're going to have Denver on December 3rd. So the layout of the schedule is really, really nice. I like watching the Texans on primetime, but I preferably like to watch the Texans on primetime when they're equipped to perform on primetime. Just watching them on primetime to watch them on primetime hasn't been too fun. I didn't enjoy the Carolina game a couple of years ago. And then the primetime game last year was on Amazon was really nothing to write home about. So I get it. You want your team to get a lot of attention. You want your team to get a lot of run. But primetime's fine. I think it's an absolute perfect layout of the Texans schedule if you're talking about routine travel, etc. Let's go through the schedule, and it is the locker room. Subscribe, like, appreciate everyone for rolling with me. Whether it's on Sports Radio 610, the Odyssey app, etc. I appreciate everyone rolling with me. And subscribe, like, keep it rolling. Daily Texans digital content, not selective coming out of woodwork type stuff. Daily Texans digital content. Let's go through the schedule though, and it's a lot of times it's about where you play someone, when you play someone, and sometimes you don't even know what a team is going to be like. So if you would have faced the Indianapolis Colts, let's say in 2019 or 2018, then you would have wanted to get them early when they started off 1-5 or whatever it was, and you wouldn't have wanted to play them late. So sometimes it's just about when you play someone, and that's the interesting discussion here as it comes to Baltimore. We had a subscriber yesterday ask, when would you want to play Baltimore? And he said he'd like to see them early. So he got his wish because the Texans are going to open the season against the Baltimore Ravens at noon on September 10th. My response was, I don't know that there's a right time to play the Baltimore Ravens because I think they're going to be a pretty good football team. They're always a scrappy football team, and you're going there. Maybe you could make a case late because Lamar could get hurt or something like that, or banged up. I don't think there's a right time to play Baltimore. But if you wanted to be someone who looked at this as some sort of advantage, the fact that Lamar Jackson, and this is the same for the Texans. So when I'm breaking down other teams, I'm not sitting here saying that the Texans have some sort of advantage, because the Texans are going to be underdogs more times than not when they go on the road. So I'm talking about the other squad. I'm taking my eyes off my own paper, and I'm not just talking about the Texans. But from a Baltimore perspective, Lamar Jackson's got 2 new starting receivers that he's going to have to get on the same page with. And it's the same thing with CJ Stroud, but Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham Jr., Lamar's going to have to try to get on the same page with those guys. And in-game reps that matter are the main way in which that happens. So maybe there's a point in the season where Lamar, it's humming, and Lamar Jackson has everything going with his receivers. But if you want to look at it as like a positive, Lamar Jackson early on with his receivers would be good. The other thing is this: when you prepare for the Baltimore Ravens, a lot of times an offense like that with a quarterback like that, where you have to instill that type of discipline, and I'm not saying they run the effing wishbone or anything like that, but like they do use the quarterback to run a lot more than most teams, and it requires probably some extra film study and probably some extra preparation. And a lot of times, like in college, if you're facing, like, let's say a team that runs the wishbone or a team that runs the triple option, and a lot of times you'll see this in bowl games, and you'll kind of see it. You used to see it with like Mike Leach at times in bowl games when there's, like, for lack of a better term, gimmicky offenses. And Baltimore's not a gimmicky offense. It's as close to that type of thing as you have in the NFL, although it's going to be a different offense. So maybe you could just completely wipe this away. But I expect them to run a lot of the same similar things. The more time you have to prepare for something like that, the better. Now, we don't know how different it's going to look. I would be surprised if they just decided to come out and run some sort of passing offense with Lamar Jackson, but you get a little bit more time to prepare for that. And he's maybe not going to be on the same page with his receivers. But the bottom line is this: the Texans aren't supposed to beat the Baltimore Ravens. The Texans aren't going to be favored to beat the Baltimore Ravens. So there's not really a right or wrong time. Maybe something emerges and he's not on the same page with his receivers. But there's really never a right time to face Baltimore. So why not just get it out of the way early and see what happens. Week 2, you got the Indianapolis Colts. And I know a lot of people wanted to open against the Indianapolis Colts. I think that the Indianapolis Colts week 2 is probably perfect because you're going to get Anthony Richardson early. Now, you can make a case, well, Darius Leonard and Jonathan Taylor are going to be fully healthy. Maybe so, but the Indianapolis Colts early, that's an ideal situation. That's a good matchup to open. Good time to face Indianapolis. You're going to have most likely Anthony Richardson starting. Hell, maybe you get Gardner Minshew, but you got the Colts coming to town week 2. That's a decent layout. Jacksonville week 3. I wanted to get Jacksonville week 6. That would have been the ideal time for the Texans to face the Jags. Would have been week 6 because that would have been them coming off the 2 weeks in London. And that would have been the perfect time because who knows about the jet lag. I can't believe they're even doing that. But the Jags week 6 would have been ideal. You get them early. You're going to Jacksonville. A lot of people expect big things from the Jags. Others expect them to kind of come down to earth and be in a little bit of a dogfight in the division because most people know that they wouldn't have won it last year had Ryan Tannehill not gotten hurt. So Week 3, not ideal. Would have rather had week 6 or even any time after that, because I don't know how they're going to handle that. But week 3, not great if we're just talking about the layout. Week 4, October 1st against Pittsburgh. John McClain has called for this to be the day that J.J. Watt's jersey gets retired because he would be facing his brother. Cool. Go ahead and do that if they want to do that. Pittsburgh, as far as Pittsburgh, this is going to be interesting because we don't know what Pickett's going to be in year 2. I'm not as high on Pickett as some seem to be, but we will have a decent idea. And it's probably better to face Pittsburgh week 4 as opposed to like week 1 or 2, because you will have some sort of idea of what Pickett is. You'll have a few weeks of film to see what the new Pickett looks like, as opposed to a lot of times, like if a guy's going to have a breakout year his second or third year, he comes out week 1 and just completely lights it up. You see him have 3 touchdown passes, 4 touchdown passes, whatever. And there was no way that you could have really seen it coming, especially with the leap that a lot of guys take in year 2. Now, maybe he sucks and it won't matter. But if there is that possibility that Pickett's going to be good, getting him in week 4 when you can at least get like some sort of idea of what he's going to be, I think that's a good layout. So right now, the only really meh time in which you're facing someone is Jacksonville week 3, but we'll see what happens. Anything can happen in division games. Week 5 at Atlanta. This is going to be interesting. I don't know what type of team Atlanta is going to be. They play hard for Arthur Smith. They've had limitations personnel wise. They're rolling with Desmond Ridder, and they got Bijan Robinson, who's probably going to be a major focal point of their offense. I don't know that there's a wrong time to play Atlanta. You could maybe make a case that you want to play them late because they could be a really bad squad and not trying to win at the end of the season. But Atlanta, much like Baltimore, there's not like a great time to play them. I don't think there's like an awful time to play Atlanta. And you're going to have to shut down Bijan Robinson. Week 6, New Orleans at noon. Again, you guys notice how this schedule is going. You have at Baltimore, road, home game, road game, home game, road game, home game. So this is perfectly laid out. I think the Giants are playing 7 road games in the first 10, which is the most in NFL history. Texans are laid out perfect. You don't get primetime games, but this is laid out perfect. The New Orleans Saints, we don't know what they're going to be with Derek Carr. We don't know, is Dennis Allen a good coach or not? Pretty scrappy squad, pretty talented. Some think that maybe they're a quarterback away. They're going to get Michael Thomas back. Who knows what's going to be going on with Alvin Kamara. New Orleans, that could go either way, but you're getting them at home, and really no specific like time when to play the New Orleans Saints. Then you got your bye on October 22nd, which is close to the middle. I heard D'Amico Ryans today talking on Chris Long's Green Light podcast. Pretty good stuff, by the way. We'll go through some of that tomorrow on In the Loop at 10. We'll probably put that in there about 10:40 because he had some thoughts on the schedule. He said you want the schedule kind of in the middle. This is kind of in the middle. So you have week 7 bye week. Maybe you would want week 8, week 9, but you got a week 7 bye week, which is close enough to the middle. And then it gets real fun because you start off with 2 winnable games coming off of the bye. So if the Texans, let's say the first 6, let's say versus Baltimore, Indy, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, and New Orleans, we want to go 3-3 as optimistic. 3-3 fair? Let's say they go 3-3 in the bye week and they win 3 games between at Baltimore, Indy, at Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, at Atlanta, and New Orleans. Let's say 3. I know some of you are feeling yourselves right now and feeling the Texans. So 4. Let's just say no worse than 3-3. So you're coming out of the bye week. And I'm being optimistic because it's that time of the year. Week 8, you're going to Carolina and you're facing Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. So you're going to have a bye week to prepare for a rookie quarterback. You're going to have plenty of time to see what Bryce Young is, what Carolina is, and you're probably going to have a pretty motivated quarterback in CJ Stroud himself, because we know how CJ Stroud is. We know how motivated he gets. We know how he kind of, creates that chip on his shoulder. He wanted to go number one in the draft. Let's be honest. Who doesn't? And for a moment, he thought he was going to be number one in the draft. So you're going to have the bye week, and you're going to get to look at Carolina and Bryce Young. You're going to get to study up on him, and CJ Stroud's going to come out motivated. So that's a game that you would like to have. That's a game where the hype is going to be really, really high, because you're going to have number one versus number two. And when it comes to overreaction Monday, we call it reaction Monday. Our old boss got like real weird about that. Why are we calling it overreaction Monday? Who cares? Because that's what they call it everywhere. But we call it reaction Monday. It's kind of stuck. The new boss, I don't think, cares that much. But it's over. As far as overreaction Monday, I got James here saying I can't listen to this. The Texans suck till proven otherwise. Then go, bro. Go in timeout, sir. It's all good. The Carolina Panthers, though, Texans, that's going to be an interesting game. It's a good opportunity. Week 9, November 5th, Tampa Bay, they suck. And I don't know that they want to be good. Tampa Bay was a team that I said, some people say you would have wanted to start out with Tampa Bay, and the Tampa Bay Bucks are one of those teams that we're talking about potentially tanking. The Bucks are a team I don't think you wanted to face like week 1 or 2. And this is the comparison that I give it to. Remember when the Jags had Gardner Minshew, and Gardner Minshew beat the Indianapolis Colts week 1? It's kind of like Baker Mayfield has the Gardner Minshew vibe, where when and you saw him with the Rams last year, he came off the street and he did his thing when they were playing like grab ass ball for a large portion of the season. He came out there and won a game, and then he kind of drifted away as time went on. That's what I look at with Tampa Bay. Eventually it's going to start going down, but I could easily see a situation where early on in the season, Baker Mayfield comes out there and, maybe surprises someone or whatever. So I think the Tampa Bay layout is good, and you get to face 2 of the 4 teams in the NFC South. You get to face them back to back coming off the bye. Now, this is probably the toughest game of the year. You're going to Cincinnati week 10. I'm not even going to try to sell you on this. This is just one of those we'll see what happens type of games. Maybe you get Cincinnati banged up a little bit. And if you want to look for one positive with the Cincinnati Bengals, the week before they faced the Texans on November 10th or 12th, I should say, they're facing the Buffalo Bills, which is a really, really good team. Those 2 teams, they've kind of gone at it a lot the last couple of years. 2 of the 3 teams that won 12 games or more in the AFC, the Cincinnati Bengals, maybe there's some sort of letdown after getting up for the Buffalo game. But I mean, let's be honest. Cincinnati could easily be a Super Bowl favorite / whatever, just well-oiled machine. Could easily be a double-digit favorite in that game. November 19th against Arizona, they are going to for sure be underdogs. So this is one of the games. I don't know how many times the Texans will be underdogs, how many are favorites where we'll be able to say that. This is one for sure. If there's one game where the Texans will be favorites, it'll be against Arizona. Don't know if Kyler Murray will be back by then. Don't know if Arizona will even want to win at the time. But November 19th against Arizona, good opportunity. And if you look at the bye week, the post-bye week, we've just gone 3 games into the bye week. So at Carolina, then you got Tampa Bay, then you go to Cincinnati, and this is where you get your soft spot right here. So we're coming to the soft spot. So this is the comfortable part of the schedule, and this is where I'm talking about the layout. So listen to these next 3 weeks. November 19th, you got Arizona. You're likely going to be favored. Then you got Jacksonville, Thanksgiving week, and you're at home again. So you have 2 straight home games. And then you're hosting Denver the next week on December 3rd. So you have 3 straight home games. So coming off of the bye week, you have Carolina, Tampa Bay, then you got to go to Cincinnati, and then you got 3 straight home games. So October 29th through December 3rd is the spot where, maybe Jacksonville, maybe Denver, they're expected to be better squads, but you're sitting on 3 straight home games, which is a big deal to get 3 straight home games. There aren't a lot of teams that get 3 straight home games. Hell, Jacksonville has to go in London for 2 weeks. And as I said, the Giants have 7 out of 10 road games. So you have that. Week 14, December 10th, you're at New York against the Jets. We don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to be, but you're in New York against the Jets. If you're a Texans fan and you're traveling to that game, there's a pretty cool opportunity. If you're like a big football fan and you don't go to the East Coast very much, the day before this game, and myself and Figgy, my producer, will be there. Army Navy is being played in Boston. This is like a 3.5-hour drive if you're a Texans fan, to go from Army Navy, which is badass. I can tell you that. Been a handful of times. It's incredible. Will be again this year, and then you can go to the game in New York against the Jets, which is I'm told a pretty cool experience there. So that would be a cool trip if you're trying to plan a trip, maybe in early December or something, and you're looking for a game to go and you want to go to New York. You could chalk a couple of things off the bucket list with the Army Navy thing the day before. December 17th, and this is the only time that you have consecutive road games. As we talk about the good layout, you go to Tennessee, you're going to take on the old Oilers. Word on the street is that they might be rocking the Oiler throwbacks in this ball game. So there'll be a lot of emotion there against the Tennessee Titans / old Oilers. Then, speaking of emotions, December 24th, Christmas Eve, the Cleveland Browns come to town with Deshaun Watson. And who knows what kind of effing team this is going to be. This is going to be an interesting one because a lot of times when you get in late December, there are teams that maybe don't want to win because of their draft spot. Not the case here, because neither one of these teams have their first round pick. Furthermore, the Texans have the Browns' first round pick. So if the Texans win, they actually win twice because they improve their draft stock. So this is, you remember last year when we had to sell our souls and hope for losses for the betterment of things? Now you're in a situation where you got to win the game. They're not going to be trying to lose no matter what. They could be 0 whatever. They're not going to be trying to lose no matter what. You got Deshaun coming back, and you got all those storylines. So you got Cleveland coming to town. Then you got Tennessee for the second time, December 31st, a little New Year's Eve action at noon. So you're going to have Christmas Eve at NRG Stadium, and you're going to have New Year's Eve at NRG Stadium. So, man, hopefully you got a family that loves football and is not too down on holiday stuff like that. And then week 18 TBD against Indy, and we don't know what channel that's going to be. So that's the layout of the schedule. Overall, just a really, really good layout for the Texans schedule, just because the home splits, et cetera, the routine, all that type of stuff. I think there's a lot to like with the schedule. If y'all have any questions, just get them in. I'll get to them before I get out of here. Fun times, not. I mean, I don't expect the Texans to, I'm not expecting like 10 wins or anything like that. But if you were laying out the schedule just for like player comfort and the best outlook for competitiveness, this would be it. Most coaches would take this schedule. Now, D'Amico has said he'd like primetime games. A lot of people love primetime games. I like primetime games. But you get it done at noon. You're used to playing at noon. All but 2 at the most of your games are going to be at noon. You got to like that. You got to absolutely like that. Someone asks Joe Blue, over 6.5. I would say over, under 6.5. I would say over. I would say probably 7 or 8 would be what I would bet. The 5.5 was a little bit more, but I think the fact that the way that the schedule ended up getting laid out, and the fact that they don't have the splits are so good, like the home, the road, etc. I would say I would go over 6.5. I'm not as optimistic as a lot of people, but I would like that. Terry's asking what's going to happen in rookie minicamp. The rookies are going to go on the field. They're going to do some drills. They're going to move around a little bit, and you're going to get your first look at them, and the coaches are going to get to work with them and get their first on-field actions. So it's just basically going out there and, getting acclimated to what the coaches want you to do. The coaches getting a look at you, you getting acclimated to your teammates. And that's pretty much what it is. It's not like a full, like padded training camp type of practice, but it's just the first, look at what's going on with those rookies. Robert K says, I really don't like Baltimore week 1. If that game is a blowout, I can see the team getting really down early emotionally. I think that's going to happen with D'Amico Ryans. I don't think the team's going to get down emotionally if they lose to Baltimore. And Baltimore's been known to let some teams hang around. So I don't think that that's necessarily the case at all. The Bully Mob says the Texans will go 10-7. Mark my word, it's marked, man. Is that a Frenchie too? Shout out to the Frenchie owner. Fans attending rookie minicamp, that's a negative, sir. That's a media event. I'll be there for that. Everyone says they'll take 10-7. If they go 10-7, then D'Amico's going to get coach of the year. So we'll see how that goes down, but fun times. The schedule is out. The season officially has begun. Good layout. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Maybe we'll get a player tomorrow. We'll definitely get you some stuff this weekend, and it's going to be fun. And the annual schedule simulation tomorrow on In the Loop. The fake schedule simulation. I go through every game and the wacky scenarios. Pretty unrealistic if we're being honest. But it's one of the most fun times of the year. We got you covered there. Appreciate everyone for coming through. No matter what happens though, whether it's 10-7, 7-10, whatever, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in this together.
We number 1, you don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.